Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo. Bienvenidos, my name is Jedley, and you are tuned in to Reading with Your Kids. We're coming to you from Reedville, the loveliest neighborhood in all of Boston. Our mission is to help all families grow closer through reading, and we do that by introducing you to the coolest authors, the funniest tales, and a whole lot of reading inspiration for the whole family. We hope you'll help us spread the word by telling all of your family and friends, your kids' teachers, librarians, principals, and random strangers you meet on the street all about the show, and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Good Pods, Podcast Addict. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. With all that being said, let's get this reading party started. Our first guest today is James Ransome. He is here to tell us about his wordless picture book. It's called A Place for Us. And later in the show, Vanessa Johnson will be here to celebrate our amazing classroom. Are you looking for a creative way to bond with your kids? Let me tell you all about Drawing with Your Kids, the ultimate destination for artistic adventures. Join us as we dive into the wonderful world of children's books with renowned illustrators guiding you step by step. From beloved characters to whimsical scenes, unleash your imagination and create cherished memories together. Whether you're a seasoned artist or just picking up a pencil, there's something for everyone at Drawing with Your Kids. Please visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com, and click on the Drawing with Your Kids link at the top of the page and let the creativity flow. Drawing with Your Kids, where every stroke brings stories to life. Hey, my friends, I have a super idea you are going to love. How about this weekend, turn your backyard cookout into a storybook celebration? Fire up the grill, crack open a few of your favorite picture books, and serve up Big Fork Brand's legendary bacon sausage. Made with nitrate-free bacon and premium pork, it's juicy, smoky, and unforgettable. Top it off with Big Fork's spicy Chicago fire sauce, and you've got a meal as bold as the characters in your favorite bedtime tale. Get 20% off your order using the promo code READ at bigforkbrands.com. That's bigforkbrands.com. Promo code READ to get 20% off, because nothing brings families together like great food, great books, and a whole lot of flavor. Big Fork Brands. Read, grill, repeat. We are going to have a great time this afternoon. We are here to celebrate a brand new wordless picture book. It's called A Place for Us. Please welcome to the show the creator, James Ransome. Hey, James, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing really good. I'm really looking forward to speaking to you about A Place for Us. It is, the illustrations are, as we say here in Boston, wicked powerful.
Absolutely. My wife is from Boston, so I've heard Wicked lots of times. Feel very comfortable with Wicked.
Well, I've heard Wicked coming from my wife in words of Spanish, and they don't always make me feel comfortable because I did something wrong.
It's something, I don't know, sort of regular Boston, that it's a positive for me. So I enjoy it. So great.
So in A Place for Us, we meet a young boy and his mom, and they happen to be homeless.
Yeah. They are unhoused, yes. This idea came about for a number of things. It's never one thing that comes for me for ideas. Years ago, I did a book called My Teacher, and in that book, and it has words. It's about a girl and a teacher she admires who's been there since her mother was a child. And she helps this teacher with a Thanksgiving basket. In this Thanksgiving basket, they put a pencil, a green pencil that's very decorative. So she's actually surprised later on when her friend, her classroom friend, pulls out that pencil. And so she realizes then that her best friend is received a Thanksgiving basket from the teacher because she didn't have enough food for Thanksgiving. So that idea of someone next to you, someone that you know who may have some problems or issues at home has always stuck with me. So this idea, what I wanted to accomplish in this book was to show that this person sort of did everyday things, so normal. You would never think that at night he wouldn't go to a house, a home, a building with a roof over the top to keep him and his mother safe. So as you start the book out, you see these sort of very normal things, or standard things, I should say, and then until the end where they don't go to a house. So that's the only real difference. And I want kids to know that, that person could be next to you, could be in front of you in a classroom, in a parking lot someplace. So,
right.
Yeah, that's the idea.
And that is the reality. My beautiful wife taught in the Boston Public Schools for 34 years, and she had many students who were living in shelters and whatnot. So there is a real good chance that your kid could be sitting next to somebody who is without a permanent home. Yeah,
absolutely. I didn't want this kid to go to a shelter, which is very popular, and we seem to sort of hear those types of stories. I wanted to sort of tap into the kid whose parents are working, they just don't have enough for housing. I was talking to another reason why this book came about was because of my own children. My wife and I have 4. They're all out of the house. Thank you. Which means they're looking for housing. And so my daughter, who lives in Brooklyn, who's doing very well for herself, it cost her more than $8,000 to move a year ago. And my God, between the moving costs, and she's only moving from one apartment in Brooklyn to another apartment. She wasn't moving across country. A deposit, security. At that time, they had broker fees, so they no longer have those in New York State. But all these things added up to over $8,000. And so the idea maybe is this parent has $6,000, has $5,000, has $4,000, but they don't have $8,000. And that's why they're sleeping in the park. And some people sleep in train stations, bus stops, and anything that's open 24 hours. You may find someone.
Yeah. And there are way too many people in that situation. I have a niece here in Boston who just moved into her own place, her first apartment, and she's very excited. But at the same time, there's a part of her that's terrified. Just like, I have this, I did this, I was able to accomplish this, and I need to keep working hard so I don't lose it. Sure.
Yeah. If you lose your job, you're laid off. My goodness. Yeah, you could easily be without housing. And some people live with relatives. People live with grandparents. There's some situations I grew up in Bergen County, New Jersey, which is sort of an affluent neighborhood. And when I went back to visit the school recently, and so the new kids in the school are these families where there's a single family house has been broken up into 3 family houses. There's a cousin who sleeps in the basement, someone who sleeps on the first floor, and someone who sleeps up in the upper level of the house, which wasn't the case when we lived there. It was all one family houses. So yeah, there's a struggle out there for people to be able to afford places to live. Something as very simple as that. Affordable housing is really an important subject that needs to be discussed more. That's what hopefully the book is going to do. Open up this discussion.
Yeah. And I'm imagining there's somebody out there might be listening to what you just said and say, housing, we have to talk to our kids about affordable housing. They're 3 and 4 years old. What can they do? But this has been, I remember, I can't think of his name, but there was somebody running for mayor of New York many years ago, and his whole slogan was, "The rent is too damn high."
Yeah.
And it had to have been 20 years ago, and we're still talking about it. And I think actually the situation has gotten worse since
Oh,
then.
I think so. Yeah, I agree. Well, you know, there are kids who are living through these situations, and that's what I really want to bring out. The idea that, again, the person who you're sitting next to in class could possibly be one of these children who are not going to go to a house tonight. Hopefully a teacher shares this book with this classroom. It's a turn pager out loud. It's no reading out loud. There's no words. And it's a conversation that sort of comes up, and maybe they discuss it. But I want to sort of bring up the subject that it's people, no one has a purple eye sticking out their forehead saying, I slept in the shelter last night, or I sleep in my car every night. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to have the boy change his shirt the next day, because I don't want you to think that, it's only the kids who wear that same shirt maybe a few times a week that may be in this situation. I wanted to, normal is probably not the right phrase to use, but sort of standard maybe, of this person does all the things. And that's sort of the buildup of the book. His mother meets him after school. They walk to a place to get something to eat. They go to the library and do homework. And they go to a park. And that's where they spend the night in the park. So everything's it gives you a time to sort of build a relationship, hopefully, with them. And sort of see them as, okay, these are things that we do. Nothing abnormal about this, except they just don't have a roof and a walls to sort of secure them at night. And that's what we're asking for. Affordable housing. It's not that expensive.
Yeah.
Not that expensive. It's not that hard to understand, affordable housing.
Right. Yeah, I have the book and I look through the book and I'm imagining if my kids were with me, if they're now also adults and out, and but if we were going through and taking a picture walk through your book when they were 5 and 6 years old, that last spread where they're in the park and they're sleeping in the park, and suddenly this kid that you've developed a relationship with, you like him, and I can see, we do that stuff too, and then all of a sudden it's like, bam.
Yeah.
That's incredibly powerful. Were you thinking about the kids who'd be seeing that when they turn that page? Did you think about how that image would hit them?
Well, I did. I wanted it to be a surprise. I'm a huge Chris Van Allsburg fan. I've always loved his book. And it's sort of the way his books end is a little surprise sometimes. And I sort of wanted to sort of tap into that. The idea that, again, we're just sort of going through this sort of routine, and then except this is the only thing that's different, was part of it. Now, I'm not sure where the idea came from. I'm in my studio working, and I started thinking about things. It could have been because I had a conversation with my daughter, recently. Like I said, I have 4. The oldest actually lives in the Hudson Valley. And, housing's a big issue for her and her boyfriend, trying to find affordable housing. So, it's these things are around me all the time, these conversations. My son's looking for an apartment right now. So, it just sort of came to me. I said, well, what if I do this? And what if I do this? So I sort of walk it through in my head first. Then I take out pencil and paper and I start sketching it. I remember sketching it out. I actually made a dummy book. And I sent it to my editor, and she said, "Let's do this, right away." So it was a fast sort of. We were rushed to sort of get it done, and I had so much fun doing it. I actually started over because one point I was going to do it in collage, and then I said, "No, this is not working. It needs to. We don't want the collage to distract from what the story's about." So I did it in watercolor. So and then it went from there. So I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. Do you? And I'm asking from a complete place of ignorance because I have zero ability when it comes to visual arts. But do you find that certain types of illustration work more powerfully with different subjects? You mentioned watercolor. Does watercolor Are you thinking, I want to hit somebody, get them thinking, so watercolor, as opposed to...
Yeah, I do think about the medium because I've worked in all the major mediums except digital. So I started off as working in oil paints, and then I went to acrylics, and now I do watercolor, I do collage. Sometimes it's more of a drawing. But yeah, I do think about the medium. I think the watercolor has more of a softer sort of feel, sensibility. And I did want you to have a little sort of romantic or a connection.
Mhm.
I didn't want the work to have a hardness to it. I wanted to have a softness to it because I wanted you to, again, to really sort of feel the bonding with these people. And yeah, so that was a conscious decision to put watercolor over a medium that I had started before, which, collage is a wonderful medium. But when I use a lot of patterns, and sometimes that can be distracting.
Mhm.
And I didn't want anything to distract the viewer from just looking at the pictures because, again, being wordless, I had to carry a lot of body language and all those things. And the drawings for watercolor just seemed to be a better choice for this particular book.
Yeah. Was there ever any discussion about including words? I mean, it looks perfect to me.
I don't believe there was. It takes a year for a book. It takes me a year to work on a book,
Mhm.
and it takes another year for the book to come out. But I don't think there's ever any conversation. I really wanted to see. I probably thought maybe I would have to use one or two words, but as I sort of worked on the dummy book for it, I realized, I think I can do this without using words, and that was something that was really exciting to me. I've always liked wordless books, and have probably had the idea of doing one for years, and could never sort of come up with the right solution. But I'm a big fan of them. So I want to give this a shot and say, I've done a wordless book, so that's how it came about.
Yeah. Really, it is really powerful. One of the things that we encourage families to do here on Reading with Your Kids is when you pick up a picture book, maybe do a picture walk, maybe cover the words and just walk through the pictures and talk about it with your kids. What do you think? What do you think's going on here? Who do you think this is? What do you think's going on? And that can be a powerful experience. And then go back and, of course, read the story. But with this book, the images are just they do tell the story. They're very, very powerful.
Well, that's actually a wonderful exercise. I used to teach, and sometimes it was hard to get students to understand that their pictures have to communicate and not just replicate, but they have to communicate and sometimes add to the ideas the writers are writing about. And that was probably the most difficult thing for a lot of students is to add that little component to their artwork. So that's a wonderful idea. I'm a big believer in, I have a space here in my studio where I put the pictures up as I finish them. And you should get a real strong sense of the story just by looking at the pictures and not reading the words.
Mm-hmm.
That's important to me. The visual, the narrative visuals of the pictures. So, yeah. That was, quite the challenge. And I hopefully I did a good job,
Mm-hmm. Well, I certainly think you did a good job. I think this is a fantastic book, and I think I know that this is, as I look back at my kids when they were younger, I know that this is a book that my daughter would want to read again and again and again with me.
Yeah.
He's a huge heart and is very empathetic. My son is too, but it's, I just looking back at what the kids gravitated to.
Yeah, sure. What's interesting is I've heard this and I've never seen it in practice, but with books, with wordless books, where the students actually write the words for the story. I'm hoping that I'll visit a school and the students have actually written, sort of the narrative for the story. That would be very exciting to see. It's a wonderful exercise, I think, in storytelling. So I'm excited. The books just come out. I'm excited for all the new doors it's going to open for me, for me to meet as I go visit schools around the country and to see what they do with the book. It's always a pleasure to walk into a school and to see what the creative teachers have done with the book, and how they imagine using it. But that would be a great thing to witness.
Yeah, yeah. You've written and illustrated many books. You seem drawn to books, stories that will spark conversations, powerful conversations, as opposed to, oh, let's talk about the bunny that's bouncing a ball on his nose.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of history, and I always feel that I want to add to and have people think about, the past as well as the future. And so, so I did a lot of books of, and especially a lot of different types of books. History, enslavement is something that has come up a lot in my books. But, I've also done books about basketball, the history of basketball, history of football. I'm a big football fan. So the Patriots look good this year.
Well, I was going to say they always look good. They didn't look good when I was growing up.
Yeah, I remember those Patriots. We're actually my favorite team is a rival of you guys. So,
are you the Jets?
No, I'm with these guys.
Okay, Miami. All right,
Miami Dolphins. Yeah. So it's gonna be an interesting season in that league.
Absolutely. I remember the year we squished the fish. That was fun.
As I travel around, I'm hearing that's what they say about the Dolphins often. I didn't realize that till maybe the last 3 years that's the commentary, squishing the fish. So let's hope there's not a lot of squishing this year.
Well, I don't know if you saw, but they just unveiled a statue of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I think they should have consulted you or somebody else, because his body looks like a transformer. It's huge.
Oh, wow.
And his head looks like a little tennis ball on top of his head. It's completely the proportions aren't right.
Wow. I haven't seen it, but I will look for it.
Yes. Yeah, Tom said the not that he's a poet laureate, but he said this statue is not just for our fans, but it's also for the Jets fans to throw their beers at as they're leaving.
Oh. Well, I'm glad you said the Jets and not the Dolphins. That's good.
Hey, there's one book I looked on your website, and there was one book I have to ask you about. You illustrated a book called Uncle Jed's Barbershop.
Yeah.
So I want to know who Uncle Jed was and who's this guy.
It's a fictional story. The writer wrote this story. She really wanted to write a book to encourage her son to keep trying and not to give up. So she made up this story about during the Great Depression. Well, it actually takes place before the Great Depression, then the Great Depression happens. And so I was asked to illustrate that book. It's probably the most connected book I've ever illustrated. At the time, when my family reunion was just starting, I started to really look into my family, and so I pulled a lot of things from my family in that book. Uncle Jed, the person playing the part of Uncle Jed, at that time I used real models, and that's actually my wife's father playing the part of Uncle Jed. What's interesting is it was actually made into a play that ran off Broadway, and they found someone who looked like my wife's father to play the part of Uncle Jed. So that was really great. We all went to the play, and he loved it, and he loved signing autographs. He really was a ham about that book. And I just thinking about it yesterday. It's funny you bring that book up. One of my favorites.
Well, that's fantastic. Tell me, James, there are loads of parents who are listening to this whose kids love to draw, love to make art. How did your parents encourage your creativity? How would you recommend parents encourage their kids' creativity?
Well, I think when you're very young, you want to keep it casual.
Mm-hmm.
My kids, we always introduce them to drawing materials. Some of my kids' fondest memories is going with me to the art supply store, and they could pick out markers and colored pencils and paper, and so they always drew. My wife absolutely insisted I don't show them how to draw, so I just let them do their own types of drawing. You can go to a museum sort of a gallery, again, casual and occasionally. As you get further up and you still have the interest and you sort of feel like you want to maybe make this a career, then you probably want to start introducing books to them. Although you can do a lot of children's books as well. There's a lot of children's books on artists. You can introduce them early. You want to maybe start going to maybe more museums. Maybe if you have good art program in your high school, that's great. If you don't, you can always subsidize it by maybe taking an art class at a local art center. And there's nothing wrong with doing both of those things. At some point, you want to get them a sketchbook so they can sort of keep their drawings together. But you want to sort of, nothing wrong with going to an opening every now and then. Share any interests, participate in the interests, like you would do if a kid was interested in, dancing ballet or something, You definitely want to go to museums and galleries, talk about it. I find that people of color probably has the least art history background. And sometimes so when they get to the college level, I find they still wanting to do things that should have the realism. Realism still is such a dominant idea for them. Where people who grow up with different types of art in their homes and they're exposed to going to museums, they see the scope that's been done before and other things are opening up. Nothing wrong. If you want to continue to do that, you're welcome to do that, of course. But there's other options. You should see all the options when you're young and developing and be exposed to things. You just don't want to be 20 years behind and not familiar with what people are doing today. So I would really encourage just going to museums. I know they can be expensive. There's some Friday nights and Thursday nights that are free in some places. Sometimes there's discounts for kids. But galleries are free. You can walk in any gallery, there are galleries all over. And exposure, and they have books, and Coastal Library. The library has tons of books that you can borrow, return, all sorts of art about all sorts of subjects, all the isms, from Cubism to Impressionism and all those things. So those are good things to do for parents. I would encourage is exposing your kids.
Yeah, we've had. I remember going to a gallery. I forget where it was. It was on the road. My daughter was out touring with me, and we had such a wonderful time. The gallery owner just spent so much time with us, showing us her favorite work.
Wonderful.
In our gallery. I mean, I felt bad for the woman because there's no way I was going to be able to afford to buy anything, not even paper.
Sure. Yeah.
But, it was like I love spending time with somebody that's passionate about something and they're willing to share it with me. Yeah. It was just fun. Speaking of galleries, you are going to be opening an exhibit here in Boston in a few weeks. Let's plug that event.
Sure. September 5th at Alpha Gallery in Boston. I have a solo exhibit of work that I'm there. That's my gallery. Every 2 years we have a show there. So
excellent.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And what kind of pieces will you be bringing to the exhibit? Well,
it's different from the artwork you see in the books. These are a combination of acrylic paint and paper. They're large. They're expensive. But these are for people who are heavily into the art world. My work is really about it's sort of about the Great Migration in my family. That's what it's about. It's about how so it's pictures of African American life before the Great Migration, during the Great Migration, and now the reverse migration, people going back down south. So sort of cover those types of subjects in my work.
If you'd like to know more about A Place for Us, James's artwork, please visit his website, jamesransome.com. James, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids. Hey, my friends, one of my favorite parts of the day is story time. There's just something magical about snuggling up with your kids, opening a great book, and escaping into an adventure together. And let me tell you, that moment becomes even more magical when you're curled up in the softest, coziest bedding you've ever felt. That's why I'm so excited that CozyEarth.com is supporting reading with your kids. Their bamboo sheets, comforters, and pajamas are unbelievably soft, naturally breathable, and temperature regulating, which means no more sweaty nights or chilly toes. Right now, Cozy Earth is offering Reading with Your Kids listeners an unbelievable and exclusive 41% off their entire site. That's right, you heard me right, 41% off. So go ahead, create your own cozy reading nook, wrap yourself and your kids up in something comfy, grab your favorite bedtime book, and turn story time into the best part of your day. Head on over to CozyEarth.com and use the promo code READ at checkout to save 41%. That's CozyEarth.com, promo code READ. Hey, real quick, we want to let you know that this episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Zivo Life. ZIVO.life. Zivo Life. Hey, parents, caregivers, and book lovers, ever wish you had a little bit more zip in your step when you're reading The Very Hungry Caterpillar for the 5th or the 50th time today? Say hello to Zivo Life, your new best friend in daily wellness. Zivo Life is the world's most nutrient-dense whole plant loaded with 50% plant protein, essential amino acids, fiber, antioxidants, and so much more. It's a powerhouse in just 1 teaspoon a day, and yes, is giving people more energy, better gut health, and even healthier skin and hair. If you want to feel more energized, focused, and vibrant during your next animated storytime performance, Zivo Life might just be your secret weapon. Visit Zivo.life, ZIVO.life, and use the promo code READ to get 30% off your order. It comes with a 30-day risk-free guarantee, and you've got nothing to lose except your sluggishness. Go now to Zivo.life and use the promo code READ and save 30%. Join us right now from the beautiful state of New Jersey. Our guest here today to celebrate her debut picture book. It's called Our Amazing Classroom. Please welcome to the show, Vanessa Johnson. Hey, Vanessa, how are you?
I am doing well. The weather is absolutely beautiful outside today.
Isn't it, though? And up here in Boston, it's been 2 days ago, it was raining. 4 days ago, it was 80-something degrees. But today, it's a really nice day.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Awesome. Tell me all about Our Amazing Classroom. What's this book all about?
So Our Amazing Classroom is about my son and daughter. My son is 5 years old and my daughter is 3 years old. And it's about their experience in private school. So in private school, my kids go to an immersion school that teaches Spanish and Mandarin. So the majority of their school is Mandarin and it's Asian and Hispanic. So they came home with so many questions. A few of their classmates asked them, why is your skin so dark? Why is your hair texture different? And instead, so the teacher sat in the classroom when one of the students were asking, and they said, don't ask that question. So the book is about having uncomfortable conversations and making it comfortable. So we take them through a journey of there are 195 countries in the world, and all these countries yield different people that are all amazing. And we talk about the different features, the blonde, red, brunette, black, and the languages. So they navigate, their best friends are Asian, Hispanic, and Irish, and they all navigate their household and their cultures. And by the end of it, they become superheroes that promote diversity.
Very cool. What a neat school that your children are attending. So they're learning to speak Spanish and Mandarin in addition to English?
Right. So it's an immersion school. And listen, I kid you not, when I seen it online, I was absolutely floored. But the first and second day of school, I was getting ready to pull out, not because of anything that they did, but because of my own fears as a parent. My daughter's class only speaks Spanish.
Okay.
Every single instruction is in Spanish. And I was like, how is she going to learn? They said, Mom, trust the process. And my son's class, it's 80% Spanish, 20% English. So 20% is in ELA, literacy, phonics, blending, CVC, but everything else is in Spanish. Math is in Spanish, science, social studies. And this started in September, and I kid you not, if my kids were here, they're like, oh, they're having a conversation with you, like, oh, are you guys, Dominican or Venezuelan? No, we don't speak it at home. We do a little, right? Like I downloaded Duolingo just to keep up. Mm-hmm. But the idea is to produce bilingual, trilingual children, especially in modern day society. Like they're going to be an asset to any workforce.
You're absolutely right. My beautiful wife has a friend who was a principal of a public school in Boston, and there is a really large outcry because they wanted to do dual language at the school, and there are so many parents that were up in arms, and this is terrible, and we should. And I just didn't understand that. It's like it's only a benefit if your kid learns a second, a third, or fourth language.
And you know what? So my BA is in childhood studies. And I read so many books that just talk about from birth to 6 are the fundamental years for child development. And there's an area in children's brain that is awakened when they're learning another language. Like, let's be honest, we all take second language in school. That starts in what? The middle of elementary, right? Mm-hmm. So this entire time, we're not necessarily engaging that area of our brain. So for my daughter at 2.5 to be engaged in that area of her brain, we're yielding positive citizens, and I love the experience. And more importantly, their school is so diverse. Like that, my son's class has a few Ukrainian students, a few Italian, a few Middle Eastern, Black, everyone. Their class is a melting pot, and I love it. Like that's what breaks bias and ignorance and racism. When you're in the class with two of everyone, you're like, we're all equal, right? Yeah. So I wanted to give them the upbringing that I didn't have, because I went to school where pretty much everyone looked the same. I lived in a town where everyone looked the same, and then going to the workplace, and that's not realistic. Going to college, it wasn't realistic. So they have a very different upbringing than me, and I love it. I love having their birthday parties where it just looked like a map. It looked like a world map when we have our gatherings with all their different friends speaking Mandarin, speaking Turkish, speaking Spanish. I love it. I absolutely love it.
So in this time in history where it seems like everybody is looking for an excuse to be mad at somebody and call somebody a name, how did you get so wonderfully open-minded?
I'm going to be honest with you, as a parent, right? What is it? Fight or flight, right? When my son came home and said, Mom, they're questioning my skin complexion. He's physically the only brown kid, right? Though they're all diverse, they all have similar skin complexion. And then my daughter were to hear, first thing was like, should we remove them and put them in an environment where everyone looks like them so they wouldn't ask the questions like, what are we teaching them? Right. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if my kids are having these questions and other children are having these questions, let's bring exposure to the topic. And the more we educate our children and the more we educate everyone around us, the better citizens that we create. So it's like, let's talk to our kids, and also let's write a book so that other parents could talk to their children and educators. This book is really about not only parents, but educators. Like I also wrote a teacher's guide. So it comes with a curriculum from preschool to 5th grade, where not only do you read your book, but you have discussion prompts. Mm-hmm. So let's reflect. Right. Mm-hmm. It has assignments, because a lot of educators are uncomfortable when that student, told the other side, don't ask Jaden that. It's like, no longer is it, we don't see color. We're all the same. We're not. We do see color, and it's okay. Let's talk about it. Let's tell there are brown, there are Hispanic, there are Asian, there are Native American. There are all amazing people in the world. Let's learn about them. And then let's focus on the core and their habits of love, of kindness, of friendship. And that's how you build your friendship. But just to say, don't see it. Let's just focus on scholastic. This is social studies, right? So it's being comfortable, empowering educators, empowering parents, empowering students to have these conversations of differences.
Yeah. I've been a fan and an advocate of diversity and inclusion from way before it was cool to do. I worked with kids with severe neurological disabilities back in 1987, 1988, 1989. And we really encouraged. Our kids were very different. They were functioning on a very low level, but we were able to integrate them into typical classrooms. And no one believed it was possible. Now, I'm not saying that these kids with these developmental disabilities were doing math and calculus and all that. They were still not able to do these things, but they were able to develop friendships, and they were able to learn what they needed to learn within the boundaries of these classrooms. So they were able to spend time with other kids. And we really, like you, we really encouraged kids to ask questions, because that's the way you build understanding.
Absolutely. And that's the key. You said it. That's the way they build understanding, right? So, just being old school, a lot of parents do as I say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily what I do. Like, don't be, what is it? Open eyes, closed mouth. And it's like, no, talk. I give my kids the liberty, and their friends, when they're in my possession, the liberty to discuss, engage, and be respectful, but ask questions. And as long as within parameters, right? Everyone has the opportunity to answer certain things to their level as parents. So with my children, I'm so transparent, almost too transparent, my husband could say, right? Almost true. Like, I remember my son said one day, "Mom, where the baby comes from?" And I showed him a picture of me pulling him out of my womb. I said, "Yeah, this is where you came. This is a picture that the doctor took. Me pulling you out. This is where you came from." And my husband was like, it's, I said, this is what happens when a man and a woman later on in life, they get married, they have a really good job, they become millionaires, and they have a baby. my twist on things, right? I said, that's the steps of you coming into the world.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, I understand the desire to create this book, but what about where did the desire to become a children's author come from? Is this something that you always hope to do?
So, when my son was born, I'm an avid reader. I love to read. So my son was born, I bought so many books, so many bilingual books in different languages, cultural books. And I was just always reading. And my husband and so many colleagues suggested, hey, because I used to write poetry. So writing is something that I enjoy. And of course, the stereotypical story we hear, mother, you lose yourself, you lose your inner passions, and you just focus on all the necessities of raising a child. And I wanted to tap back into that. So tapping back into my love for poetry and writing and reading the many books is like, let me write a book myself about a topic that I'm sure plenty of parents can relate and plenty of educators can relate. And it could be beneficial, especially in the generation and the climate that we're currently in. I felt like this would be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now that you're an author, how does it feel knowing that your book is out there touching the lives of thousands of kids all over the country, all over the world?
It's rewarding. It's absolutely rewarding, especially when my son, everything I do for my children. And when they're here, I remember one time we went somewhere and I sold the book to a school as a Action Academy, and we went to a trip, and they're like, "Oh, that's Jasmine and Jaden." Like, they were able to identify them because my illustrator made their characters look just like them.
Uh-huh.
And it's no AI, just straight trial and error. We were going back and forth, and it's amazing. So just them feeling happy when they see the book and they see the shirts and they see so many different merchandise, and they hear people talk about their story and just feel connected to them without even really knowing them, but just reading their story. It feels amazing. It's rewarding. Like, that's what it's all about. It's all about people understanding each other, loving each other, and just overcoming different obstacles and bridges.
That's really cool. You were telling me before we started recording, we were both at the IABX Children's Book Fair in Roselle, New Jersey, this past weekend. And you were telling me that people were really excited to see the shirts that you created in conjunction with Our Amazing Classroom.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is, so I wrote these I wrote the book, and then I stated, you know what? Let's make these characters morph into superheroes, right? Because now they start just as ordinary children, and through the course of the book and their journey, they're learning so many amazing facts about the world that they become powerful. And their power is to empower others and spread diversity and spread awareness. So we said, let's just make it into books and shirts and merchandise. And it was something that I wore. And I wore it to different book readings in libraries, and different parents were like, do you have that shirt? Do you have that shirt? And then I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and get it printed out for different children. And it's been a success. And I'm like, wow, it wasn't even intentional. It was just like something that I played with based off of, the synopsis of the story. And it hit. It hit.
That's great. Tell me, are there more books going to be coming from you?
Yes, my next book, and my son is in speech therapy. So my next book is going to be called Jaden Goes to Therapy. And it's going to not be based on speech therapy, but just therapy as a whole. There's so many children in speech, behavioral, therapy as a result of divorce, therapy as a result of having same gender parents, and just therapy. There's a negative connotation around therapy, just understanding what therapy is, why do children go to therapy, and the peace and the love behind it. So that book is just to touch that population, because there's so many people that don't understand therapy, and there's a negative stigma around it. And I want to bring awareness to therapy as it relates to children.
Wonderful. Well, I am a graduate of speech therapy back in grammar school, where I could barely get a sentence out, and now you can barely shut me up.
That's my son. that is my son. I mean, he's only 5, but when he was 2, he would express himself through cries and through emotions, but not verbally. And he was very, very, very smart. So I learned so much myself, right? I think every time people think of speech therapy, it's different layers, right? There's different. With him, he needed help how to get his words out. He needed help tapping into and understanding which words to utilize. He had the vocabulary. So if you show him 1 million flashcards, he was able to regurgitate. But to initiate conversation, hi, Jaden, he would smile. Or I'm hungry, he wouldn't express himself. So therapy, just now his water, his mouth just runs like water. And I'm like, okay, Jaden. But it's like, you know what? I always think about when he wasn't talking so much. So I just let him go. The moment we pull up to school, the moment he gets in the car, he literally 40-minute drive talks the entire time. And I just let him go, because it's beautiful to hear his voice, to hear his words, whether it's in English and Spanish. And you know that a few years ago, none of that was in existence. So I'm an avid supporter. I know a lot of parents also hold this negative stigma in therapy, where they're reluctant. I don't want my son to be categorized. I hear that all the time. The school suggested this, but I don't want them to be thrown in a category. Like, they have their own perception of what therapy means, entails, and I love it. In fact, for my son, it actually pushes him ahead, right? When it comes to phonics, it's like a one-on-one tutorial session, like, especially in class with these ratios. It's one-on-one intimacy, learning where they're weak and helping them strengthen those areas. I'm an avid supporter of therapy.
It sounds, like your book is going to make a difference in a lot of kids' lives. I have a feeling that creating this book, starting this business, has changed you in some ways. How do you think this experience has changed you?
Oh, it has changed me drastically, right? So my 9 to 5, I'm a contract management specialist. Has nothing to do with what I do. Budgeting, budgeting, supervising. And I call this my passion project, right? Starting the business, Aspire to Inspire. I call this my passion project. And I've been knee-deep invested in thinking about different ways I could tap into the youth, tap into parents, tap into empowerment of children and education. And in being in different vendor events, I've been thrown so much opportunities and things that I didn't even consider, So I'm working on so much right now. Like right now, I'm working on kids entrepreneurship and literacy. Right, that's another big passion of mine. I have my son do vendor events. Right, so he's typically the one going around talking about the book. And so, but in the process, it's a double-edged a double-edged sword. He's learning about what is a buyer, what is a seller. And when we get the money, I said, okay, so you made $60. 20 is going to go into investing. 20 is going to go into saving. 20 is going to go into saving. What is that spending? What does that mean? And we have sessions, and I post these things on social media, and we have little financial literacy cards. So like my next project, another book is just talking about the journey of financial literacy in kids. So like I come up with so much ideas now of what I find important that I want my children to learn. And I'm sure there's thousands and millions of parents and educators that want help teaching their kids the same thing. So just to use the book as a vessel, as a tool to connect with others.
Wonderful. That's really fantastic. I'm a huge advocate of talking to kids about finances and helping them become financially literate. I remember having some very frank conversations with my kids when they were very young, first, second grade, and saying, look, got to do good in school. We're sending you to private school right now. There is not going to be a pot of gold when you graduate high school for you to get into college. That's something you're going to have to do on your own with scholarships, and we'll help you out when we can. But just understand this is we're making an investment in you now, and you're going to have to make an investment in yourselves later on.
Absolutely. It's like, but those are very, very important tools that you bestow upon your kids. I'm at the stage of printing out, like what like in school they talk to them students about different careers. So what did you talk about today? Oh, they talk about a postman, they talk about a police officer, they talk about, let's do the research. So I create little graphs and diagrams, and I say, so this is a police officer, this is what a police officer makes, and I'll create another thing. Look at these 6, 7 homes. What kind of home would you want to live in? Of course, they always choose the big bit. Okay, so this is what the mortgage is on a home like this, and this is what your monthly salary would be at this job. So do you think this is still the same type of profession, or do you want to get a house more like this? No, I want that house, so maybe we got to change our profession. Like I have these thoughts with him at an early age. Like, think about what you really want to be. Like, so we talk about in school, oh, community workers, but let's talk about the money that comes behind it and the lifestyle that they want. So let's talk about engineering artifacts. Let's talk about day trading. Let's talk about, like we talk about, so like let's look up all, and let's write all, what is the job duties? What it entails? This is the salary. Is that something you'll be interested in? What about nurses? Let's talk about the years of schooling. Like we have all these conversations at this very age. Like you have your list. It's not detailed and it's not intense, but to get you thinking. Get you thinking. Get the wheels turning.
I love it. We should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about our amazing classroom and find out more about you.
www.aspire, ASPIRE2, 2, INSPIRE, brightminds.com. I'm selling shirts and the books. You could book me for school presentations or workshops. All information about me, who I am, and the business is listed there.
Wonderful. We've had a great time speaking to the author of our amazing classroom. It's the debut picture book from our guest, Vanessa Johnson. Vanessa, I am sure we're going to have you back on Reading with Your Kids in the future. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Phew, that was a fun episode. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Reading with Your Kids. If this episode made you smile or gave you something to think about, please share a link to the show with someone you love and maybe post about it on your socials. We would be so grateful if you could leave us a 5-star review. And, of course, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'm so grateful to the people who made this episode so amazing, starting with our guest, James Ransome. Please be sure to check out A Place for Us. And also Vanessa Johnson. Please be sure to check out our amazing classroom. And, of course, we are so very grateful to the sponsors who are supporting the show. Real magic happens when you support our sponsors and use our promo code READ. You get a great deal, and we may earn a small commission, and that helps keep the lights on and helps us keep spreading the joy of reading together. My team, I think they deserve a big thank you. Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty, L. Glassman, Dante Greco. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the love and support that she shows me every single day. And of course, we want to thank you. You are amazing. And you are making the world a kinder, more empathetic, more loving place every time you read with your kids. Until next time, go make some reading magic happen.